Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. In this game, I will be playing Supply Specialist up against Giant Specialist. My opponent is in the 1800 MMR, so he is a fairly strong player. I have Sledgies and Fangs. This is one of my favorite starting points, and unfortunately for him, he started with Mustangs and Crawlers. The good thing about Mustangs and Crawlers is that they will eventually outscale if they are able to consistently kill tanks. However, if the way I play is very suppressive, um, and he's not able to kill all my tanks, or he's not able to do a lot of damage with the Mustangs and not get levels, then he will be at a severe disadvantage. So let's see. I am intending on building more tanks just to see what he does. So round one plays pretty much as expected. I got 3 groups of tanks, and that's just a lot of armor for him to chew through. Yes, he's winning on this side, and these Mustangs will probably get a level after the next turn. But for now, I think I'm in a okay position. So there was a cardinal rule for picking out units, is that you should never, or you should rarely, have more than one type of unit to fill the same role. And I'm about to break that. So here's why. First of all, I noticed that he has a lot of chaff that is fast moving. So we're talking like 5 squads of Quallers. And when a player does that, it's also a good indication that he is going to put more Mustangs in this group. Then again, high movement, low health, low hit point, chaff-ish units. Tanks are decent against chaff. They're not the best, especially when they're not teched with mechanical rage. But when faced with this many chaff, I feel that we needed something a bit more specialized. So in this case, I actually pick up 2 arc lights, get range on them to deal with this specific threat. Sure, now I have 2 units that kind of fit in the same role, but they're performing a little differently, right? So for the arc light, they're a dedicated anti-chaff unit. They're really good against both Crawlers, which are currently running in a straight line, as well as Mustangs. The tanks, while they're still serving the purpose of chaff clear, a bigger purpose that they're solving is, well, tanking. As you can see right now, all my tanks are absorbing the damage from these Mustangs while allowing the arc lights to do its damage with its range upgrade. So right now is a very powerful setup against whatever unit he has, which is primarily small units, small fast moving units. Alright, so we'll get the tower, we'll finish off the rest of the Mustangs. Another reason that I really wanted to go hard on the anti-chaff, especially anti-Mustang, is remember what I said at the beginning, when you have a mirror match, well, Mustang versus Sledgehammers, whoever gets more levels on their units will have a pretty significant advantage. So I want to stop him from getting levels. Like this pack of Mustang right here, if I didn't have an arc light here, they would have killed these Sledgehammers, probably even more, and they would already be level 2, right? The other ones, they are up against more Sledgehammers, so they're probably not getting leveled that quickly. Alright, so here's round 3. We got 3 unit cards. I chose Marksman because a very natural follow-up to these kind of setup is you want to put fortresses or something tanky up front. So allowing these Mustangs now have range, allowing these Mustangs to shoot from afar and deal the damage. So out of all the units that were offered, Marksman were interesting. The Overlords were also interesting, but I figure because he might just go fortresses, Marksman might be a bit more flexible. On the opponent's side, he went for a big rhino up front. So in the previous turn, I didn't have chaff up here. So he thought this might be an opportunity. Just go straight down to the tower, take the tower, allowing all these Mustangs to do damage for a little bit. But unfortunately, I plugged the hole here. I added more 2 packs of chaff in anticipation for some sort of funny business. And it paid off right here. And the marksmen, level 3, are actually doing quite well against this rhino. So I was very happy with the outcome of this particular round. For my opponent, he continued to add more crawlers because he really needed to get these Mustangs leveled. And as you can see, right now, this Mustang is doing well, right? I think it's going to level this turn. This one, not so well. These ones, not so well because I already have level 2 sledgehammers. So that just twice as hard to kill for these level 1 Mustangs. Okay, he is going to take this turn, and that's okay. Alright, that brings us to turn 4. Subsidized Arclight was offered, but I chose it out of habit. But now looking back, I didn't think that was necessary. Because I already have 2 Arclights that's on the board. Yes, I'm going to add a few more, but usually I'm not utilizing that card that much. I thought about perhaps going carry Arclights, but we're just going to have to see how hard he'll commit into fortresses. And as expected, on cue, 2 fortresses went down. And this is where I'm really happy that I got these level 3 marksmen, because they will help a lot in bringing these fortresses down. Fortress Mustang is a very potent combination, but you have to be very careful to not overreact, because sometimes they would just go with a few fortresses and continue to build on the chaff while still relying on the Mustangs to do damage. So that's a possibility. In that case, you don't want to commit too early with melting points. Usually, I think the good ratio for melting point is 1 per every 2 fortresses, unless they start to get tech on them, in which case you need to move up to 1-1 with tech on your own. In this case, he's at 2 fortresses. I was expecting this. The level 3 marksmen immediately start to work on the fortresses. Yep, they take a lot of punishment, but at the same time, like, these are just cheap $100 marksmen. Well, level 3, so $200 marksman. Alright, so the right hand side was doing quite well and took the tower. It was a lucky tower because that allows this Arclight to clear all the chaff, so whatever is remaining is just going to be getting shot at by my marksman. I am going to take tower again, and it's just a matter of shooting down these fortresses. Perfect. So the next turn, so if you're a new player and you see these positions, usually 2 things, well 3 things could happen on this turn. He already had 2 fortresses. He's already built up a very packed board full of chaff. So first of all, let's look at the cards. Orbital Bombardment is a no-brainer at this point because all his units are quite far behind, and he only has 2 fortresses, so he can either go with a shield this turn, which will help, and adding more fortresses. But in either case, I think Orbital Bombardment is a good choice. He chose the shield drop, which I think it was also a great choice because I don't have as much damage output as he has. Okay, so 3 things that could happen in this turn for the opponent. Well, he already put down 2 fortresses, so that's one of the things. So the thing number 1, so we're on turn 5. In turn 5, they'll get $1,000, 1,000 credits, which allows him to buy 2 fortresses at $400 a piece. And in order to get a tech, he will have to sell something. And if you pick an item, if the item is not free, well, first of all, he will be down with 50 free money that he would have otherwise gotten. But if the item is not free, you will have to pay for something. So I could predict that scenario 1, he's going to get more fortresses, no upgrades. Scenario 2, he's going to get upgrades. So in this case, probably a shield, right? And then 1 fortress. And then scenario number 3 is going to get upgrades, no fortress, more chaff. Because right now he's got no chaff in front of these fortresses. So I will put more chaff here, and then the next turn go hard on fortresses. Flanking is another option, but I already have missiles here, so he wouldn't be able to accomplish too much unless he commits, let's say, a pack of Crawler and a Phoenix, which he currently do not have unlocked, and there's no reason to unlock Phoenix right now because it's just not very good against my board. So I don't have to worry about flanking in that sense. So it's really just back down to how many fortresses he's going to get. If he goes with route number 2, which is getting the tech, which most likely going to be the barrier, my bombardment is not going to work as well. But any other scenarios, I think the bombard is going to do pretty well. So he decided to just add 2 more fortresses, puts the shield down. I was counting on that. I thought, okay, either way, if you're going to get shield or 2 fortresses, I would need to have at least 1 melting point to answer you, right? So I started adding my melting points to the army. And remember, right now I want it to be a 2-to-1 ratio melting to fortresses, unless they level attack. Alright, so I got bombard. I want to get rid of as many chaff. On this side, it's got 1 extra crawlers, so hopefully I'll hit them. And on my right side, I've been winning battles consistently. I think a lot of it can be attributed to the arc light on the corner. Whereas this side, we're missing an arc light. Alright, 4 fortresses. Very, very strong. But I have melting points ready to go. My current concern right now is just... The bombard actually did quite well, but we still have chaff that's running over. Ooh, that's a good one. Once the chaff are clear, this melting point should be able to walk over and start clearing out the rest of the fortresses. I also pick up sledgehammer armor because I really do not want these Mustangs to level up. So by putting on armor, it effectively stops these Mustangs from leveling further. And you might say, why is that? Well, first of all, the Mustangs aren't doing any damage to these tanks, which means the only thing that's killing the tanks are the fortresses, which means the fortresses are getting the experience and the Mustang will forever be stuck on level 2. So when you have a lot of units, a lot of Mustangs this way, and you don't want them to get level, just get armor. Okay, so the fortress on this side didn't even have to wait for the melting point, it just got DPS down pretty hard. Okay, so this is a big tempo round for him. So first, unit cards. I picked up Fire Badgers because I thought with so many light units that's running straight at you, Fire Badgers is pretty darn good. He got the Scorpion, sold it because he wanted to get more tech, which is a good choice. He ended up going with 2 techs. He got the shield and he got the range. The range makes sense because he saw melting point, and range does drastically increases survivability. And also another interesting thing about range, especially with the Fortress Mustang dynamic, is that Fortress with range is shoots slightly further, 5 meters further than the Mustangs, which means these Mustangs, which currently aren't doing anything against these tanks, and they will never do anything against these tanks since I keep leveling them, have found a new purpose, which is now they're going to be chaff for these fortresses. They're going to run up here and they're going to be standing just slightly in front of the fortresses, serving as chaff, so that my tanks or my melting point will have a harder time getting to these Mustangs. And with range on the fortresses, it'll be pretty good at just taking pot shots on all my units. So that's the plan for him. For me, I added 2 fire badgers, put them in the corner, knowing that this entire bottom quarter is just gonna run towards it. And with no chaff, then these fortresses don't do anything. Immediately, this one gets locked on. Melting Point is going to walk over. It's a bit painful this turn because I don't have range and he does. So my Melting Point will have to slowly walk towards the fortress while taking shots. Melting Point has a speed of 6 meters per second. Right now we have a range difference of 25 meters. So that's 4 seconds of walking. And in 4 seconds, this fortress is able to shoot me twice, which is terrible. Alright, got the tower. Slowly moving to the side. This level 2 fortress is growing to be pretty big. Poor Mustangs, not doing any damage whatsoever. Sure, I got the lock on, but it is a level 2 fortress, so no chance. Alright, round 7. Laser sight is a no-brainer. Ball production might be okay, but he's running fortresses, and fortresses are pretty good against balls. He put the laser sight on his Big Daddy fortress. Makes sense. I added shield on the fangs, knowing that some of his Mustangs are going to be peeled off over to the side. I added napalm, and this is a deadly technology at this particular context, because what will happen is you'll create a pool of fire right here, like right in front of it. All these 4 squads of crawlers are going to run right into it, and possibly these Mustangs as well. So what that means is that my fire badgers will actually very likely survive this engagement and start to move towards the tower. And if you think about it, that's pretty crazy, because you're tied up essentially 3 crawlers, that's 300, Mustang, that's 200, with the level, that's 600. So 600 worth of units with a level 3 fire badger. I think they're just 400, right? 200 plus 2 levels, yeah, 400, and a tech. So pretty darn crazy. On the rest of the board, he added hackers because he saw how annoying my tanks are, and they are annoying. But these are level 1 hackers against level 3 tanks. The hackers are doing what, 600 every 0.3 seconds, so that's 1800 every second. In order to get through my hacker, that's almost 9 seconds. So good luck hacking my tanks. And I'm surprised he didn't put one on the level 2 tanks, and instead was going for these higher level tanks. Okay, so let's watch this battle in slow motion. Oh, by the way, I did get range on the Melting Point just to counter his range on fortresses. And I put the laser sight on this Melting Point so I can get this Big Daddy fortress. Now it has him with the laser sight. But first, just notice just the carnage over here at his corners. All the crawlers running, all the crawlers die. These fire badgers is just casually strolling out, taking care of these Mustangs. There's absolutely no chaff on this side of the board. There's a bit of chaff in the middle, and then there's no chaff on this side of the board. This is how deadly, like infernal hell at the corners right here. Okay, so this fan is going to be fortress is going to be shooting at my chaff forever. This one is already going down. The hacker is already going down. They are getting some units in the middle, but they're taking them very slowly. Once this is being taken care of, the tower is going to go down. This fortress, this turn, has done nothing. If you look at the damage, 5,000 damage for a fortress that does 21,000 damage per shot. It's done nothing. It has never hit any worthy target, not even a tank. It's just stuck on his fence because of my fire badgers pulling away all the units in that corner. Tower went down, laser beam goes up, right? This melting point really wants to get into the action in the middle. No, melting point, your target is over there. It's the orange man. But anyways, orange man gets locked on, still shooting at fans until the last second. Oh, finally, I think no, it didn't even get a shot on a sledgehammer. It's just fans all day, and that's game. So what worked, what didn't work in this turn? First of all, fire badgers, amazing. At the corners with napalm, with these kind of units running towards it, amazing. Even if your fire badger dies or close to dying, the fact that you have napalm on the ground and these units might possibly run into them justifies the cost. What else worked? Well, armor, huge, right? Sure, these Mustangs are now level 3, but they're dealing 115. They cannot scratch my sledgehammers. These are level 2 from just killing my chaff after 7 turns. Cannot scratch my tank. So armor on these tanks effectively prevented these Mustangs from getting any more levels. And once they do get levels, like these Mustangs, they're quite scary because these fortresses can tank for days and the Mustang would just kill everything else. So you have to really stop them from doing that. The prediction on the fortress was pretty good, right? So I knew there was going to be 2 fortress first and then maybe 2 more. So I added my melting points accordingly. What could have my opponent done? Well, there's a couple of things he could have done. Stormcallers is a great option. All my units walk in a line. All my units are very slow. I have 1 squad of callers. So Stormcallers is a very good alternative in terms of killing my chaff. I would start selling these guys when I notice the armor. Because all they're doing right now is just serving us chaff, really. And even then, they're not doing a great job. So I would start selling them and use the money either to go with even more fortresses, to go melting point of their own, right? Another option, if you really want to make use of these Mustangs, is just to have some sort of EM, so melting point with EM missiles might work. But overall, it was a great game. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.